Hello friends, welcome to my channel Explore with Joyeeta. Friends, do you know which is the most peaceful country in the world? Today, I am going to tell you all about the most peaceful country in the world. To know more, watch this video till the end. Before moving on to the video, I request you to subscribe my channel. And do like and share if you have liked this video. Now let's move on. Produced by the Institute for Economics and Peace, IEP, the Global Peace Index, GPI, is the world's leading measure of global peacefulness. This report presents the most comprehensive data-driven analysis to date on trends in peace, its economic value, and how to develop peaceful societies. The Global Peace Index covers 99.7% of the world's population and is calculated using 23 qualitative and quantitative indicators from highly respected sources and measures the state of peace across three domains. 1. The level of societal safety and security. 2. The extent of ongoing domestic and international conflict. 3. And the degree of militarization. The International Day of Peace is observed each year across the globe on September 21st. Every year, the United Nations designates a theme to mark the day. The UN General Assembly has announced the day devoted to strengthening peace ideals by observing 24 hours of non-violence and ceasefire. It is also recognized as a day that celebrates the efforts of people and countries who work hard to promote peace and end rising conflict. The United Nations General Assembly established the International Day of Peace in 1981. It was officially celebrated a year later on the third Tuesday of September. However, after 2 decades in 2001, it unanimously voted to designate the day as a period of non-violence and ceasefire. Annuncios, while many nations have desired a conflict-free and peaceful environment, a world with minimal conflict and crime still remains out of reach. But some countries have raised the bar and emerged as proportionately peaceful countries, with Iceland topping the list. Since the start of the index in 2008, Iceland has consistently dominated the top position. It is followed by New Zealand, Denmark, and Portugal. On the other hand, Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, Yemen, and South Sudan continue to be the least peaceful countries on the list. Now let us know how countries are ranked. The GPI gauges worldwide peace using 3 broad themes: the level of safety and security in society, the extent of domestic or international conflict, and the degree of militarization. Annuncius identifies the most and least peaceful countries, trends in violence and conflict, and calculates the economic impact of the violence. The index is composed of 22 qualitative and quantitative indicators from highly respected sources and ranks 162 independent states covering 99.6% of the global population. This honor is calculated using a number of factors like sense of community. Iceland is the most sparsely populated country in Europe, with a population of just over 350,000 people. Despite this, people are not generally lonely. 99% of Icelanders said that they had someone they could count on in a recent report by the UN. Icelanders have a strong sense of community, and this extends to the immigrant community as well. 10% of Icelanders' population is made up of foreigners, but they report the same level of happiness as the native-born Icelanders. One of the reasons for this closeness is the historical hardship of living in such a remote and extreme climate. The old Icelanders had to rely on one another if they wanted to survive. Equality and inclusion. A culture of acceptance and equality contributes to the happiness of the Icelandic people. Just like wealth, happiness is evenly distributed throughout the majority of the population. There is no great divide between the well-being of those with the most and with the least. This equality makes Icelanders some of the most satisfied people in the world, and thus has deeply ingrained a sense of neighborly concern and duty to the vulnerable. Transparency and justice. The 2008 financial crisis was hard on people all over the world, including the Icelandic people. A significant difference in Iceland was the consequences faced by the irresponsible bankers. Instead of bailing out the bankers, the Icelandic government let all the major banks fail. The banks were left to clean up their mess, and the most irresponsible people were arrested and went to trial. This accountability and justice, even for the wealthy, make Iceland a very fair and honest country to live in. Times still get hard, but a transparent response to the problem means that Icelandic people have high level of trust in their government. Low crime levels. Crime levels in Iceland are extremely low, especially violent crime. There are only around 150 prisoners in Iceland, and there have been less than 40 murders in the whole country in the last 20 years. Violent crime is so unusual that the police force does not carry firearms. The tight-knit community means that people feel confident to trust one another. Little children are allowed to walk to school in the dark, and babies are frequently left outside in their strollers to enjoy the fresh air while they take an afternoon nap. This low-level crime means people feel safe in Iceland, which is great contribution to the level of happiness. Natural beauty. It is hard to be unhappy when you are surrounded by natural beauty. Iceland has some of the most spectacular landscapes in the entire world. The magnificent fjords, glaciers, and volcanoes of Iceland captivate visitors from all around the world. The local people are not blind to this beauty. They regularly bathe in the gorgeous hot spring and soak up the incredible scenery of the enormous national parks. Love of literature. Icelandic people's love of literature is famous throughout the world. Storytelling is a vital part of Icelandic culture, going right back to the sagas and legends of the earlier settlers. As well as being great readers, Icelandic people are also great creators. An incredible 1 in 10 Icelandic people will publish a book in their lifetime, with a book for a best friend. It's no wonder the Icelandic people are so happy. Good health. Health problems are one of the most distressing things a human being can face. In Iceland, people live very long and healthy lives. The Icelandic men have the longest life expectancy in all the world. The women live even longer than the men, though they don't quite make the same record. An active lifestyle contributes to this good health. Local vegetables are also getting easier to access with an increase of produce being grown in geothermal greenhouses. Quality education. Private education is extremely rare in Iceland. This doesn't mean the education is low quality. On the contrary, Icelandic education is so good that people choose to send their children to state schools, no matter how wealthy they might be. Almost all Icelanders are fluent in English from an early age, and they are all entitled to free higher education. Literacy rates in Iceland are an incredible 99%, and unemployment is extremely low. No judgment. Small communities are often vulnerable to a culture of gossip and judgment. Iceland is an exception to this. A responsive government. A few decades ago, Iceland had a serious problem with underage drinking and substance abuse. The government responded to this problem with a massive investment in activities for young people. There are so many after-school clubs and sports that the children never have time to get bored. At the same time, the government created curfew legislation for children. Young people must come home before 10 p.m. in summer or midnight in the winter. As a result of these policies, Icelandic teenagers are now some of the cleanest living youths in the world. The number of young people getting drunk or smoking has plummeted and families have become happier and healthier. Very little research has actually been done on the meaning of peace for Icelanders. Indeed, the country has not participated in international conflicts and has not suffered terrorist attacks. Here, municipalities and non-governmental organizations try to enact peace in their work. Contributions to peace are often overlooked by systematic analysis of peace at the level of states. And that while Iceland may be the most peaceful country in the world by some measures, it may be more thanks to the everyday practices of agencies, groups and individuals rather than the structural conditions of the state. So friends, this was my video today. I hope you all enjoyed it. Stay tuned to get more fascinating videos like this. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.